Hi, I'm Tammy from the Colony Public Library, and we are having a fishing kit event for y'all. This is video 1, and we're so excited that y'all joined with us today. We want to talk about several things. We're going to talk about what fish eat and where fish live, and we're also going to talk about fish ID. Okay, let's start out today by talking about the pond food chain. Okay, so we know that our bigger birds and our raccoons and turtles eat the fish, but what does the fish eat? The fish like tadpoles and dragonfly larvae, and they also like beetles and smaller fish as well. Also algae and bacteria. Those are the things that make up a pond food chain. If you'll see here, all this stuff can be found around the sides and around the bottom of our ponds. Hi everybody, I just wanted to get back with you and let you know where to fish, okay, and where the fish hide and what you need to look for. You need to also look out for the wind. Which direction is the wind coming from? Because that determines the current of the water, the flow of the water, okay? The food, the bugs, the algae, the bacteria, everything a fish eats follows the flow of the water, the current. So that's where your fish are going to hide. Like here would be a good spot because the current is passing right by the rocks, which means they're going to be able to come out and they're going to be able to eat the algae and the bacteria. So this will be a really good spot. Another good spot, because the current is flowing really good here, is here for them to hide and come out and be able to get the current as well. Also another place is roots. Roots, trees, marshes, anything that a bug can hide under, that is where you're going to find your fish. So we have a fallen tree here, and the current is traveling here, so you know a fish is going to be hiding among here. Also, shade. Shade is a really good thing. Fish like shade because bugs like shade. So they're going to be in among the shade trees. If you have any shade, marshes, weeds, grass, anything like that, anything natural. That's where your fish are going to hide out, and they're going to make sure that they stay going the way the current flows. They're going to be watching and coming that way, okay? That's how you find where you're going to fish. And the fish are going to be pointed toward the incoming current so that they can just open their mouth and in comes the food. Okay, so I just want to talk about the brief anatomy of a fish. We're not going to discuss everything, just some parts of the fish that are the most important. The most important thing on a fish is this lateral line right here. This lateral line has tiny, tiny hairs. And those hairs pick up movement in the water, the motion of the water. If there's any prey about, something that's going to eat it or could eat it. If there's anything they could eat. So they pick up everything around the fish. Okay, because the fish has good eyesight, but once they get down and it gets muddy, then they lose some of their eyesight. It's not quite as clear. So that's extra protection for the fish. Also, you've got the caudal right here. Fin, this propels them forward. And then, of course, their mouth. You've got their mouth here. There are a couple of species of fish that can taste really well, but most fish are really sensitive to smell. That's why you want to use your baits that have a lot of smell that will attract the fish. They love fruity smells. Also sweet smells. So if you want to do a dough ball with Special K cereal mixed with a strawberry drink, that is wonderful. If you want to take a hot dog and put it in Big Red, oh, they love stuff like that. Also, the fins here are going to help move side to side as well. So it's very important that when we pick up a fish, we don't damage it, because then you can actually kill it. And a good thing when you pick up a fish is, number one, wear gloves. And if you don't have gloves, stick your hands in the water and wet them first, okay? I'm going to show you here. Got my little Mr. Redfish. When we go to pick up a fish, we want to pick it up from the belly, okay? Gently, very gently. And don't gently, okay? And then you're going to take your hook out, and we try to use barbless hooks. So if you're going to take your hook out, and then you're going to gently lay it in the water and let it swim out of your hands. Okay, we're not going to throw it back into the water, because then it could hurt your fish. Okay, so we got to be really gentle with our fish. Also, when you catch a fish, we don't hold it by its mouth because you could break its jaw and then it wouldn't be able to eat anymore and it'd eventually die. So I'm so excited because now we're moving on to Fish ID. And in your kit with the game this is the Fish ID card. This side is going to be freshwater and this side is saltwater. This is one of our most important ones that I want to point out. This is the Guadalupe bass. The Guadalupe bass can only be found in Texas, and it is our state fish. So I'm so excited about that. I want to let you know a few things. It's a small fish. It's not like the larger bass. It is smaller than a larger bass. It likes fast-flowing rivers, and it can lay up from anywhere to 400 eggs to 9,000 eggs. And they are a wonderful creature. They were becoming endangered, but now the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department has bred and filled some of our rivers. So this fish can be found in the Colorado River, which is north of Austin, the Brazos River, and the Guadalupe River, and the headwaters of the San Antonio River. Okay, this fish here is the largemouth bass. It's green with dark splotches that form a stripe along the middle of the fish, but then the underside is light green to white. It likes to stay near plants, and it also likes clear, quiet, warm waters. They get about from 1 to 6 pounds average, but they can be up to 2 to 14 pounds. Our next fish here is the black crappie fish. It's silvery and green with many black spots on the body, and then of course it has spines here, and it averages about less than 2 pounds, and it can reach up to 5. So they start out really small, but they can get up to 5 pounds, and they like clear, deep water with just a little bit of plant life. And then of course visiting us is the bluegill fish. Some people call this the perch, but it's actually the bluegill, or it is a form of sunfish. And you'll see in your pack you have a sunfish ID card as well. They're often green, and they have a little bit of lavender or brown or orange, copper or yellow, dark spots at the base of their dorsal fin, and they have a really small mouth. They also like to be near plants or sunken trees in shallow rivers, lakes, or ponds. The size usually starts at under 1 pound, and it can reach up to 4 pounds. That's our bluegill. And then now we have our channel catfish. A lot of people call these a channel cat. They look like a cat because their gills here, they have little whiskers that come off. These are feelers for them. So they're called the catfish. They're either greenish brown to a dark blue with small black spots, and they have deeply forked tails so that their tails go in. Also, they're found in large streams with slow-moving currents. They can also be found in lakes, rivers, and even shallow water. And they average from 1 pound to 6 pounds, but they can reach up to 40 pounds. And we're back. We're with saltwater fish. So these fish are going to be found in the sea or the ocean, not in our local ponds or lakes, because those are only freshwater fish. This one here is called the flounder, and it's kind of flat and round like a pancake. Isn't that cool? When it's born, it has eyes on both sides of its head, but because it lays on the bottom of the ocean or the sea, its eyes eventually move to one side of its head rather than both sides of its head. Okay, and it can change colors or patterns to match the surroundings. It usually averages from 1 to 3 pounds, but it can reach up to 13. And it's usually found around oysters, reefs, or in bays and jetties, places like that. Our next fish is going to be the red drum. It's also called the redfish as well. Some people call it the bull red. It's brown, it's reddish and bronze color with one large black spot at the base of the tip. That's how you know it's a red drum. And it is in bays or as well as deeper waters of the Gulf of Mexico. And it can get up to 50 pounds. It's a whopping big fish to catch. Okay, our next one is the sheep's head. It's also called the convict fish. People like calling it that as well. It's black and white. It has bars up and down its sides. It lives around oyster reefs, jetties, and pier pilings. And it can average from 2 pounds all the way up to 15 pounds. Don't they look awesome? And then here, this is a much longer fish. It's also thinner. It is the spotted sea trout. Some people call it specks. It has silvery sides, and it has a greenish back and many large spots on the upper sides of the fins. It likes the shallow waters near seagrass or a reef or a marsh, and it can be from 1.5 pounds to 3 pounds, but it can reach up to 13 pounds.